Now let me first introduce the presenter for the first E-Series lecture. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Saw Shi Tat. He is an adjunct lecturer and most recently the Chief of Staff of the Republic of Singapore Navy. With over 30 years of public service leadership, Mr. Saw offers a wealth of experience in strategic messaging and crisis communication, and he teaches the internal communication module here at the school. He'll be presenting on the topic, Mastering Messaging Strategies, Delivering the Right Message Through the Right Channel with Real Impact. Over to you, Shitat.
Hello everyone, my name is Saw. I'm the instructor for the course on internal communication. For today's session, I'd like to do a sharing on a communication topic related to effective messaging strategies. Specifically, as the slide shows, how best we can deliver the right message through the right channel to achieve real impact for organizations. And I'll do so in 3 parts. For the first part, a quick touch on how internal communication should be understood as a concept, and in that regard, why effective messaging matters. For the second part, I will outline 2 key workplace challenges that typically impede our messages from landing properly. And I'm sure you will resonate with them when you hear them later. And finally, for the third part, I will cover the anchor segment of my sharing today by explaining 2 communication techniques to solve the messaging problems inherent in the workplace challenges mentioned. To start off, very quickly, an explanation on the concept of internal communication. Internal communication, or also known as employee communication, is certainly not just about sending emails or disseminating company newsletters to employees. At its core, internal communication is about effective messaging. Messaging to achieve desired organizational outcomes. As a concept, it comprises 4 key tenets as shown in the diagram here. First, it involves transferring understanding and meaning. And this is a lot more than just information sharing. It is about providing employees with information they need to do their job, putting it into context, and most crucially, capturing emotional and motivational aspects through 2-way exchanges. With shared understanding and meaning enabled, it is then about influencing the head, heart, and hands, i.e. shaping what employees know, feel, and do, through influencing their knowledge, attitudes, and behavior. Essentially, to get employees to say, stay, and strive for the organization. And once that is achieved, internal communication will then first drive impact at the individual level in terms of strengthening their alignment, identity, and commitment, which are crucial success factors. And finally, the ultimate goal is to drive impact at the organizational level for the attainment of key outcomes like employee retention, improved performance, and financial results. If you were to look at the diagram again, to achieve all 4 tenets, the starting point is effective messaging. And that's the reason why effective messaging matters. Next, if we all know that effective messaging is so important, then what is stopping us from doing it well? And the answer to this is that in reality, there are inherent workplace challenges that hinder effective messaging. The first is message fatigue and the presence of ambient noise. That constant flood of information pushed to the employees every day. So much so that employees often find themselves drowned in the sea of messages. This is a challenge to effective messaging, and this challenge is indeed very real, as we are often unsure whether employees have read, understood, or acted on the content of our messages. And even if they have done so, there is an attendant issue of achieving alignment with employee self-interest. Specifically, why should they care? Why should they be bothered to do the things stated in the message? And this is our first workplace problem. Next, the second problem that we typically encounter is about the challenges in delivering the message itself. There are inadvertently positive and not so positive messages that come our way. And the challenge herein is how can we best handle this good news and bad news, or what I call it the sweet potato and the hot potato messages, in a way that minimizes resentment and maintains goodwill with employees. This second problem is also something that we have to commonly deal with at the workplace. So now I will outline 2 communication techniques that can help us deal with the 2 challenges that I mentioned. Let's start by tackling the message fatigue problem first. To beat message fatigue, we need a deliberate message structure that enables cut-through. Cut-through in terms of achieving break-in, breakthrough, and breakout. And on this, I want to introduce to you the why technique. The why technique is a communication design to ensure that employees read and take action on our messages, especially our emails. The first letter W stands for what. Essentially, what is the message about? We need to, at the very first instance, draw attention and reel employees in to achieve a break-in. The second letter is H. H for hook. And this is key. If we manage to break in, how do we then appeal to employees' interest to enable a breakthrough? Specifically, what is the benefit for the employees? Why should they care? What's in it for them? And finally, the third letter is Y. Y stands for yes. Saying yes to the call to action. This is about goading employees to act positively, and it is the critical breakout needed to achieve intended outcomes. I will now very quickly run through a mini case study for us to see the why technique in action. Here is an example of a facilities manager trying to notify employees about a car park arrangement. The subject line is notification on car park arrangement, Wednesday, 26 August. And in the message, there is a request for employees to not drive to work on that day as there are external visitors to the company. Well, if you look at it, this kind of message is very typical, very common in our workplace. We see them all the time. Most people will write it this way, believing that it is simple to the point, direct, and factual. But if we were to review this message, do we think that there's anything wrong with it from the internal communication perspective? Well, I would say that there is technically nothing wrong with the message, but there is also not much good about it. And why is that so? Well, the message is indeed direct and factual, but it has problems. 3 problems, as stated in the slide. First, in the overflowing volume of messages that employees encounter every day in their inbox, there is a good chance that this message will not be read, i.e. employees may see it and they could very well just delete it. This is because the message title sounds administrative. It comes across as a run-of-the-mill message, drowned in the sea of messages in the workplace. Hence, this message is unlikely to have the break-in needed. The second problem is that employees may not be interested. Even if they have read the message, the what's in it for me is missing. Employees most likely couldn't care less because it seems that there's nothing to gain, only something to lose. Inconvenience and being shortchanged, especially to those employees who have already paid for season parking. And for this, no or little breakthrough is expected. The third problem is with the requested action, as the instruction in the message may give rise to undesired behavior. By simply asking employees, please do not drive your car to work, this instruction would most likely not be complied with. This is because employees would think, why me? There are so many other colleagues, other people can comply. Hence, no breakout in this case. So overall, while this message seems okay, it is unlikely to be effective. And now let's apply the why technique and see how it works. If I refer you to the box at the top, this is the same message but rejigged based on the why technique. First, looking at the top part, we can see the W, the what. The start of the message now has a revised title, which has a catchy subject line. Help us win new clients, and you win a free month season parking. There is also good context given in the message. It says, 30 potential new clients are visiting. This may help our company attract new customers, and the context here gives meaning and importance to the information stated in the message. In this way, it induces curiosity to open and read, and this constitutes a break-in. Next, on H, the hook. In this case, the hook is the potential employee benefit. The revised message says, you can help us win our next big customer by giving up a car park space. And then comes the payoff. We will reimburse your parking costs for the day, and you will go into a lucky draw for a free month worth of season parking. And this delivers the something to gain, which is the breakthrough that can help us address the what's in it for me. And finally, on why, the yes. The call to action here is clear and incentivized. The message says, just email me your offer and you'll be included in the lucky draw. So appealing to the employees in this way creates a higher probability for compliance. And that's the breakout we need. From this example, we can see the differences that the why technique makes to a message and how it can help us cut through the message fatigue to enable effective messaging. Moving on to the second problem, handling the sweet potatoes and the hot potatoes. Here, the communication technique to address the potato problem lies in choosing the right messaging strategy. Direct messaging or indirect messaging. If we have good news to deliver, use direct messaging. Put bottom line up front in the message. Doing it in this way fully leverages a positive situation to build goodwill. Just give the employees the good news right away. Don't bury the lead. Specifically, in terms of the message structure shown at the bottom part of the slide, for the opening, fire the main point straight away. For the body, give supporting information. In a positive situation, such information can reinforce the good news and amplify happiness. And then close the message with a positive statement, a statement of appreciation or a clear call for next action, if any. And in the event that we have bad news and we need to push out some hot potatoes, we must understand that the employee is naturally not pleased right from the start. So the message must be more carefully crafted, essentially to convey the bad news with maximum understanding enabled and minimum resentment created. For this, we adopt the indirect messaging strategy as shown in the right-hand column of the slide. And we apply the Bill formula, i.e. big idea a little later, B-I-L-L or Bill. For the message structure in this case, we open with a neutral buffer, capturing the facts and background information. The buffer serves the purpose of building the context up front in a neutral setting. And then the body provides information that explains the circumstances and the facts that led to the news. Only and only when this is done, we would then deliver the bad news, following the big idea a little later prescription. This process allows us to avoid unnecessarily raising the red flags at the start of the message. Instead, it allows us to lead employees logically to the bad news so that they can better understand and accept the outcome. And finally, in ending the message, close on a positive, friendly note. Show empathy, gives assurance, and focus on goodwill building. For example, suggesting another course of action that is open to the employees affected. Now let's do another mini case study to see how direct and indirect strategies can be applied. Here is an example of a direct strategy in action. In the context of a company granting a request to a customer, which is another important stakeholder. And the subject line is the good news to the customer, i.e. your order is on its way. The opening immediately gives the main point to the customer. We have received your request. We are happy to inform you that it has been approved. And this is bottom line upfront. The body then provides the details. Your package has been prepared, sent out today via express mail service, and you can expect to receive it within the next 1 to 2 business days. And the close is a positive statement that reinforces goodwill. And it says, as a token of appreciation, we have included a small gift for your order. This message in delivering the good news is clean, fast, and builds maximum goodwill. And so, if you look at the message structure, this is how it looks like in a direct strategy application: opening, body, and close, with the main point up front, big idea first. Next, another example. But in this case, it's about delivering a piece of bad news of a company refusing a customer's refund request, using the indirect strategy in this case. In this example, the opening begins with a neutral buffer. And it says, thank you for being a valued customer. We appreciate you choosing to shop with our company. We are sorry to hear that you are not entirely satisfied with your item. These statements, encapsulated in the opening section, build the buffer and acknowledge the reader's frustration. It shows empathy, and it tees up for the explanation. The body then gives the explanation and explicates that our company policy mandates that refunds can only be processed within 30 days of the purchase date, and unfortunately, this customer's refund request was outside the 30 days. So only when this explanation is conveyed, then the bad news is delivered. And in this case, the bad news is the company being unable to fulfill the refund request. And here you see in the body section, build in action, big idea a little later. The bad news is parked all the way to the end, after explaining the information and the background. For the message structure, for indirect strategy, in closing the message, it is then crafted to rebuild goodwill by offering an alternative, in this case, of store credits, essentially with the aim of achieving a soft landing by minimizing reactions and preserving relationship. Okay, that's all that I have to share today. In summary, I have touched on the concept of internal communication and the importance of effective messaging. I've also shared 2 very typical workplace problems and 2 communication techniques to address these problems. The content shared today is part of topic 1 of the internal communication course that I'm teaching. There is a total of 6 topics in this course, as shown in the diagram, covering many other important topics like strategy formulation, employee engagement, change management, comms measurement and evaluation, and future trends and development. And this course is available as part of the Master of Media and Communication program offered by the WKWSCI School. Thank you everyone for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Saul. I think the why framework is very interesting, and Saul managed to encapsulate that as well as give us very practical case studies so that our students, our graduate students, can actually apply some of these frameworks. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in our curriculum, where we're able to bridge knowledge and practical applications. Now, I want to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker, it's also a faculty, very esteemed and distinguished professor here at the WKWSCI School. His name is Ang Peng Hwa. Professor Ang used to serve as our dean and chair and currently directs the University Scholars Program. He is a pioneer in media law and policy and was the first Asian president of the International Communication Association. Professor Ang will share with us today on Gen AI at work, how do you use it critically and ethically, and harness AI without losing credibility or critical thinking. Over to you, Professor Ang.
Yeah, thanks, Bei. Yeah, so when I think of distinguished, I think of me being called uncle. Today when I was in the queue and somebody said, like, "Uncle, can you hold my place while I go?" And okay, uncle, I'll do it for you. Okay. Okay, so I chose this topic. It is not kind of what I normally teach. Using AI. It's kind of a by the way kind of thing. I teach law and ethics, so the issue then is not using AI to analyze ethics, but really to use AI in a way that's ethical. And I thought this would be more useful for you, coming in to listen to this. Okay, so these are my 3 main points. Issues with Gen AI. I think you need to know the issues there. You need to know also the wrong ways to use it, and then briefly actually how to use it. I'm pretty sure most of you out there are using it already, so I'm trying to give some new thoughts and ideas to this area. So I often begin in a talk about AI ethics by telling the class to take a Wi-Fi that sort of imitates this photo. And the idea of then after I kind of give a lecture, then I'll come back to say, hey, what does this show, right? And typically they will try to smile or that, but they will not be like that. So if you look at this photo, what happens is that, and it's a title that is actually unconscious bias. I think if you look at it, you may not even be aware it's bias. The reason is a lot of photos used Flickr, the website that's available for free, because it's accessible. And if you look at Flickr, what people upload, right? They upload happy photos, and so forth. So people are smiling. But also a lot of Flickr content from the US. So it's what I call the American smile. Very big, show the teeth, mouth open, right? And when the class takes a photo, typically they're not so big. In fact, I took one just this week, and the person who's right in front, his mouth was actually closed. So in fact, when the class look at it, all kind of chuckle like, hey, well, it's not even smiling, right? So it's a difference. So this is the American smile. And I want to show you the Singapore smile, right? So if you look at the 2 figures on the right side, right, they're Singaporeans, of course, right? They should be smiling because there's a story that Singapore used top some world ranking. And the Commonwealth Secretary General, the lady in the middle there, is there, she's smiling, not quite American smile, but still smiling. The other gentleman there on her right is also smiling. Our 2 Singaporean officials are smiling only their hearts. The mouth is not smiling, right? So you can see the bias, right, in this photo. And I think by having a photo, it shows you the bias sort of objectively. Writing is a bit more difficult to interpret and so forth, but photos show you the bias. So the thing to note is that there's actually bias, and sometimes you may not be conscious of it. So that's one thing you got to note. Okay, and then this, you all know the limitations of hallucinations, right? And I was in Xiamen recently, 2 weeks back, and many would know also. I didn't know Xiamen was an island. I thought it's like Singapore was an island, and then like there's a Sentosa called Gulangi, so kind of, oh wow, so close, right? So my wife, I was busy, so my wife did her own itinerary. I told her, hey, use ChatGPT to plan itinerary. She did, like, hey, not bad, no? They tell you where to go, okay. Then I say, hey, where to go for restaurants? Okay, why don't you use ChatGPT also, right? So we came up with these restaurants. All right, and if you look at both restaurants, right, they are Michelin, Michelin guide. I'm like, wow, I know that Xiamen has so many Michelin star restaurants, but these 2 are fakes. They are fakes, and like, how come they are fakes? And so funny, right? How come for itinerary you're okay, but then for restaurants you have fakes? And not only fakes, they're so good fakes. They have the restaurant inside. You see the chandelier, the lighting, like, wow, I want to go there. The ambiance there looks fantastic. They are fakes. think, right, if you have an office colleague who give you fake restaurant booking, what would you do, right? You think, what's wrong with you? Stupid, right? This is artificial intelligent, intelligent, but it's so stupid thing they're doing, right? How come? So it's kind of a puzzle, and the researchers in this space cannot explain how come for certain things AI can give you hallucinations. So this is a point to note that even the researchers, scientists working at the forefront, right, cannot explain how come you have fake content, right? So this is something really you need to watch out for. Okay. So so let me come to this, and then I'll kind of sum up there. Which of these two paragraphs is from the Financial Times journalist? She's still on. And which one is from their AI called Emma? Right. So I'll give you a few seconds to look and guess. Is it the left A that is from the AI, or is it B that's from the AI? What do you think? Okay. No, you just vote yourself. You just decide, right? Okay, you got that. Okay, so I've presented this a few times. This is actually from the financial journalist herself, and if you go online, you can actually find the two paragraphs. A is from Sarah O'Connor. Right, so A is the real content. B is from AI. Okay, so many people, I won't say many, but okay. So how many percent of people kind of misapprehend this? When I present this to journalism professors, half get it wrong. So in other words, pure chance, half is 50-50, exactly right. Half right, half wrong. So you can tell you that it is difficult, even for professional journalists who, faculty teaching journalism would have to be journalists before, and who are thinking about this and are teaching it, right? They can't tell. Okay. So many people think that the left, because there are a lot of numbers, but the right is the one that gives you some clue. Okay, the clue is in the sentence, the second sentence, somewhere in the middle, B in the middle. On a unit basis, workers are essentially working more to produce less. Okay, this is issue of clouded productivity measurement, right? Productivity measurement. Financial Times readers do not need to know what is productivity measurement, but the AI is giving you that, and AI is repeating. So if you see AI, and this is how many faculty can detect use of AI, because the output repeats itself. It's going circular. It doesn't move forward. If you look at A moves. Every line, every sentence moves the story forward. B, the second sentence actually repeats. You're going back. You're circular. You're going back in a circle, right? So it doesn't move. And this is common with AI. So if you do use AI for writing, be careful. It gives you words, but it may not bring you forward. So it's something to watch out for. Okay, so some wrong ways to use AI, then I'll give it a pointers, right? So these are some wrong ways. The first one, uploading confidential material in an office context. Really, you should not do that. You can download the original content. Okay, if you're prompt enough, you can get the original content. Let me tell you my own example, right? So I think when Gen AI first came out, I uploaded my entire syllabus, and I said, hey, improve on this syllabus, and it couldn't really improve on it. A few months later, I said, generate for me a syllabus on this topic. And it said, Peng Hua Ang has got a syllabus on this. In other words, it's telling me that I've got a syllabus that I could actually download. It's not just part of it, but the entire syllabus. So if you upload confidential material, it is very possible that somebody can download the whole content. Okay, if you have it up there, you can download it. Sometimes accidentally, they are what they call now prompt attacks. And if you repeat certain words a few times, you can actually download it. People have done it, right? So be careful about uploading confidential material. In fact, don't do that. Our civil service, for example, has got its own internal one because they can't go out, right? So the idea is that it's contained within that. So if a company has one, it's possible then to upload your confidential material because then it doesn't leak. The second one is rely on it for facts. Because Gen AI is not actually about facts. It may go out to search, but it's not about facts. It is actually the strongest on writing. I'll talk a bit about that. If you rely on it for facts, it is very possible to get hallucinations, like I showed you earlier in the restaurant's recommendations. Right? So if you rely on it for facts, be very, very careful. You will need to check. The third one is that if you use the output for Gen AI, cut and paste is totally wrong. Okay, never ever cut and paste. You must always check. You must check to be sure that it is accurate. You must check that it does what you say it does. You must check, for example, I showed you the Sarah O'Connor piece, that it moves forward. If it repeats, and people ask you like, why are you repeating this, right? They're saying the same thing. So be careful on that one. So when you use this Gen AI, you must always check, and I want to stress this again, you must check. It can get summaries wrong. So I had to do summarize my CV. I sent out my 30-page CV. I said summarize in 2 pages, and it gave me fake citations of myself. Like, how come you're so stupid, no, right? What is stupid? It's not intelligent, artificial or not, right? It's not intelligent at all, right? If you give to any human being, it will never give you fake citations, right? But how come this can give you fake citations when you ask it to do a summary, right? You think that just by summarizing, you just cut, right? But yeah, so be careful, you need to check. And in fact, for some projects, Gen AI may be slower because it will require you to check. And if you keep checking, then you're just going to slow down. So you might as well generate your own content. So be careful on this one, right? Okay, so some dangers, and before I come to the good stuff on how to use, okay. The first one is a concern for many of us, cognitive offloading, meaning that you let the AI do the thinking for you, right? And so you're doing the thinking, the writing, right? These are your so-called muscles, right? Your writing muscle, you write often enough, you'll get better in writing. You think more, you definitely get better in thinking. You're more creative in giving creative ideas, definitely better in that. Analysis, the same thing. If you let AI do all of these, then you are not exercising those thinking muscles, writing muscles, analytical muscles, and they will atrophy. So you do want to continue to think, to write, right? Be creative, so that your output would be up there and not, be done by AI. So this is a concern for many of us. I thought I saw this in some of my students, not so much in the writing part, but in the understanding of Singlish. So many of students are from China and they use the app, right? So the previous year, I guess the AI wasn't good enough yet. So the translation was not so good, right? And so they had to listen to me. But after a while, you could see that they could understand our Singlish, the accent, our flow, and so forth. This time around, they will rely more on AI because AI now is much better. Really, I've seen it. I've talked to some people in conversation. You can download apps and you can have a conversation. One side Chinese and one side English, and the mic is recording and translating live. You're seeing the words coming out. Much better, pretty accurate. You can actually have a conversation. But as a result of relying on it, they are not so good in understanding. They can, when they do write and so forth, it's fine. But when they have a conversation, they are less confident, less forthcoming. So I thought this is could be one example. Yeah. Okay. Then the result of not being skeptical, of course, is that you reduce your skepticism and verification, right? You tend to trust AI much. So you have to be careful not to trust AI too much there. Okay, now coming to the good stuff, right? What is Gen AI good for? Yeah, it's really best for refining writing. Excuse me. So how is Gen AI created? The way to think about it is like a Harry Potter book, 600 pages, right? After reading the middle of the book, you try to predict the next word. Then you start all over again and predict the next 2 words. Then you start all over again and read up to there and predict the word after that. So Gen AI is trying to predict words based on what has gone before, right? So when it comes to its output, it is best really for writing, as opposed to, for example, getting facts or drawing a different matter, but in other areas where it's not sort of best suited for. You use it for stuff not best suited for. So when you write, you should give the context. What's the purpose of writing? And indicate the tone. So let me give an example, and I thought it jives well with what Saul had said just now about the office writing, right? So I had this case where this person came to me and said that, I need to write a response to my boss because he's wrong. He's wrong, And then he sent an email out to everybody, a whole big group, but I don't embarrass him. So how, you know? So I said, use Gen AI, you know? Write it out first, and then let's see. So what this person did was, right, you know, you may have misunderstood me, and then went on, and I said, okay, wait, cool down. I know you're kind of angry, let's cool down first. Normally when you're angry, you might let it sit for 24 hours. Okay, but here's Gen AI, so let's try it. So we put it Gen AI, and we said, no, right thing. So we say it's writing for the boss, to the boss, to a group, right? And you want it to be in a friendly tone, right? Because the boss, no, can fire you, okay? So what this person did was to send up, say, you misunderstood me, and Gen AI came out in the version, literally second, and says, I may have miscommunicated. I thought, oh, not bad, huh? Instead of saying you misunderstood me, and now I miscommunicated, no? Okay, about the same thing, it was okay. And then he went on and said, do you want a more conciliatory version? Oh, wow, I didn't know you can do that. Okay, let's try that. So conciliatory version came out. After that came out, do you want a more deferential version? Wow, 3 versions. Okay, let's try it. So came out 3 versions. The deferential version was like, I apologize. And this person said, no, I don't apologize. I didn't do anything wrong. The person is wrong, you know. Okay, let's take the conciliatory version, and let's not send out yet. Still my previous rule of sit for 24 hours and then come back to it. So next morning, the person said, you know, came up and asked me, how would you think, right? And we sent off the conciliatory version. It said, you know, I may have miscommunicated and so forth. It actually went very well. The person was not fired. The boss sort of implicitly admitted, like, yeah, maybe I was wrong, but without saying it in public because I'm embarrassed. It's quite a big group of people. I think there's 20 names on the list. And yeah, person still has a job, you know. I'm still a friend of the person, so it's gone well, right? So this example, I think, of how you use it, right? I myself used it for writing emails that are to faculty, a big group, and I'm not sure that it may go well. So I would say, like, hey, like the car park case, I would say friendly but authoritative tone, right? So it's friendly, authoritative, and yeah, it's come out well. So this is a good case of using AI in a way that enhances your communication, doesn't fall into the pitfalls of hallucinations or bias, and really the kind of the best use for it. Because of lack of time, I will have to end here. And if you have to listen more, you have to sign up for MMC program. Okay? Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ang. That was truly very thought-provoking, very inspiring, very engaging. So while Saul was very methodical, I'm really glad to see Professor Ang was able to layer that with the Gen AI and to teach us how to think critically. We even have comments in the Zoom chat, and people were trying to guess, you know, was it A or B? Yes. So, okay, all right. So now next speaker is also a very popular faculty member here at the WKWSCI School MMC program. I would like to introduce Mr. Yak Yi Cheng, and we know him as YC. And he is also an adjunct lecturer at the WKWSCI School and an experienced architect at Mavic.ai. So YC designs innovative real-world solutions at the intersection of marketing and technology. And his talk this evening is CX in the Age of Gen AI, Reimagine Customer Service in a World Shaped by AI. This will be the last presentation before we go into the info session later. Over to you, YC.
Thank you, Pei. So hi everyone, my name is YC. So I'm going to cover customer experience in the age of Gen AI. So on the left, you see actually customer experience is a form of communication. And in the last 10, 20 years, brands have been trying to crack the capability of tapping into customer experience because that delivers 35% more ROI for most businesses. But on the right side, with the rise of generative AI, which is really personalized assistant, sort of an assistant to you, that gives a very, very personalized touch. So some people actually fall in love with Gen AI. And you can see that on one side, it's what brands are trying to achieve. And on the right side, it's a tool that is already given to most people. And very interestingly, I was born in the internet era. So I would say that if you were to look into the internet era, it was really about instant knowledge. Forget going out to the library. You search on Google and you get access to a list of websites where you start to look through trawl through more websites to gather the information. Next, you have where the commerce age happened, where there's instant purchase. Now think about 11:11. So you can actually get your thing maybe within 6 hours. You buy something, tomorrow you get it. But this Gen AI era is quite interesting. It's the age of instant answers, I would say. So if you ask ChatGPT 4.0 versus ChatGPT 5, you get instant answer. Of course, they have a thinking mode. And that sort of changed the whole customer experience of how fast we expecting. So if you do look back into the internet age, it's about getting information faster. Commerce, getting your purchase faster. And then now you get answers structured in a human language without, summarizing it yourself. And this is most probably the age of generative A instant. I'll explain a little bit more. Yep. So I think just now Prof. Ang has talked about like how actually summary of information can hallucinate. What you're seeing now, if you Google for something, you see something like AI overview. And in this AI overview, Google actually summarized the result. Now, very different from what we used to do it to rank for the top 10 on the first page of Google. Google now actually make it simpler for you because that seems to be the expectation of everyone who's actually using Gen AI. You get instant answer. So instead of scrolling through even the first page of Google, now you're actually only looking at the AI overview. Now, if you subscribe to the workspace in Google, for Gmail, in this case, there's a long email chain I was CC'd upon in the latest email, and it has a small summary to say, hey, we have forwarded this invitation, and we would like you to actually to go and try to get a free pass. So I just need to read this without reading the entire chunk of text. Now, is it accurate? I would say 90% accurate, but this summary changes the way I expect information. This changes the way they expect the experience of using a platform or getting something from the brand. So if I'm to go to a customer service from any big brands now, I will expect an instant answer, a summarized version, and let me just get whatever I need immediately. Now, if you look into the entire AI experience, how has that changed us? And I would really say that, number one, maybe you might have gotten a little bit more impatient if you don't get answers on the day-to-day basis faster. Maybe that would have changed you unknowingly. So in a Harvard Business Review sort of use case, in 2024, generating idea was a top use case. And for 2025, interestingly, therapy and companionship is the top use case. And that sort of default back to how is AI more human than us? So that is also because the way that they created the system prompt to be able to create personality behind it. Now, if you have followed the news, when ChatGPT 4 moved to ChatGPT 5, people were complaining because they say ChatGPT 5 was too formal, too corporate. And for the paid user, OpenAI decided to say, hey, you have the option to talk to 4.0 again. And because 4.0 has a different demeanor, a little bit more witty, and people are already used to it for half a year. Now, it's almost like getting used to a co-worker. Like I'm used to this style of communication, and I love the experience. And when that experience shifts, even by the tone of voice, it changes a lot of things. Now, Elon Musk, known for his very innovative kind of development of large language model, has developed Grok up to version 4, and he has launched something called Companion. He tapped into the need for therapy and companionship, and he has actually launched these companions like the little panda or the anime girl, and it sort of showcased that what is the real use case there is in the world when it comes to experience. So people no longer look for a bigger brand standardized experience. They are looking for very, very personalized, tailored messaging. And in this era where everyone get exposed to very tailored messaging from their own ChatGPT equivalent, like Gemini, Claude, and you know that in the settings you can actually tweak it to be witty or straightforward or any style that you want. A human's daily interaction with another conversational partner has now risen the bar in terms of the customer experience needed. And Grok tapped onto that. Now the question is, what will happen in the future? Would we expect to do more communication with AI, more than human? And how does that shape the entire customer experience? So I think Prof. Ang, you talked about the restaurant that never existed, right? And I myself fear for that because I don't want to go to a place, travel for 2 hours, and that happen, right? Yeah. So the question is AI content really okay? So let's take a look at this. So recently you've seen a lot of AI generated animals in fake surveillance video. The first one that I saw was a rabbit jumping on the trampoline. So there was a little bit of a trust issue here. The rabbits jumping on the trampoline was never real, but using the medium of a surveillance camera video, it created the trust that this is real. And while it gives you a good laugh, and you might have recently seen dogs saving babies from a falling cabinet, most of them are AI generated. A lot of them bring tears to your eyes. A lot of them give you that warm, fuzzy feeling. But then the question is, if this content is not real, can you trust it? And is it okay for brands to use it to convince you to buy their product? And similar to Prof. Ang's example, a Malaysian couple actually traveled hours to a place with cable cars and beautiful resort by looking at the AI generated video, which never ever existed. So it's this breach of trust that's happening in the world. And if you go to a website like HeyGen, you can create your own avatar. You can use any of the realistic avatar to create video ads, social media video, and also personalized video. Now this changes the way that it communicates to you. And sharing this idea with the students, and I was asking, would you trust an AI avatar to sell you something expensive? They say no, but will you buy a Dyson because of it? They say yes, because Dyson is a branded, is a famous brand. They don't mind having an AI avatar sell it. Then I say, what about daily appliances like, like a rice cooker or even a piece of sponge? They say that's fine because that's lower value item and AI avatar can sell it. So the expectation of how the customer experience down to the communication and the advertisement actually would change because people interaction and sort of the getting used to it as the norm that an AI avatar can actually change the way a brand communicates to you. So one prediction would be, as we move forward, the human community that create trusted content will be very valuable. So like key opinion leaders, like influencers who actually maintain that very close knitted community and provided trusted review, and that still works. So that doesn't change from many 50 years, 100 years ago where word of mouth still is important. But AI is the medium that has changed the speed of delivery. So let's take a look at reimagining travel. So travel is something that we do. It's the year end and we all go traveling. So all of us get inspired by social most of the time. You go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, you see this beautiful place, and hopefully it exists. It's not a fake restaurant or fake Michelin restaurant. And that seems to be the way forward. I mean, that doesn't change, and as long as it's not AI content. But how do we know it's not AI content? But in terms of experience design perspective, what I would think will be interesting is that as a person, when I collect certain pictures or certain Instagrammable moment that I want, I just need to send this to my personal AI and say, hey, this is what I like to do. Can you form something for me? Can you look for something in the world that makes sense for me? And AI will go ahead and plan. And now with agentic mode, they can actually book the tickets for you. But of course, this ecosystem is not ready. I mean, the restaurant that doesn't exist, the ticket that might not get you onto the plane. But that seems to be the customer experience that's coming. Do not need to go through the whole hassle. Get inspired by your favorite influencer, the content, load it in, get your assistant to get it done. So that might change at least the first discovery part of the customer experience. Next, all of you who went on a group trip before know this pain point. Everyone say, let's get on this trip. Everyone set up a chat group, and then everyone start putting in, I like to do this, I don't like to do this, I like to do this, I don't like to do this. And then one poor person who's the trip leader will have to go and consolidate this, and then this person don't like this person want to go shopping, and etc. What if in that particular WhatsApp chat group, you could actually put in all your different requests? Everyone has a different mobility plan. So some people like to walk more, some people like to go hiking, and some people just want to, chill out at the cafe. And with different interests, if you put it in, and yet you still go together, but maybe you can set a threshold of 30% of the time we should come together for group activities, but the rest of the time is free and easy. And AI most probably can join you in that chat group and arrange that. And that's most probably linked directly to specific trusted program by the travel provider, hotels, and then you can actually come up with a proper itinerary. So that consideration phase, or what you call the planning phase, will be quite interesting and quite different. Now, I've experienced this before. I mean, I've driven to a location in part of my itinerary, and then the place was closed. It was either snowing or they said the cable car was not working. I was like, I've driven 2 hours in the outskirts of this country, and it happened. So what if there's a real-time update that it fits into the AI, and I don't need to change? I wake up in the morning and say there's a big snow. I mean, like last week, or rather this week, in Seoul it was actually 1 degree, and you might want to rechange your plan. And generative AI can do that for you, and that changes the customer experience. Now, if you have to take a step back, how can brand take over this moment? It's really about being able to build that customer experience that you are superior than your competitor, and people will then use you for that customer experience. So I've tried to build even a website. So we have 16 MBTI, and based on your MBTI, if you key in, or based on what AI will tell the website, they'll reconfigure the entire tone of voice for you. So if that's the future, then can brand deliver very different experience while keeping to their core proposition for each customer? Yep. And of course, this is the part where everyone loves. You take 1,000 pictures, 50 videos, or 500 videos, and then you spend some time sitting at the bench in the beautiful Japanese town trying to edit the best moment. With editing technology now, I think you just need to share the album. AI cuts it for you, edit it, share your most Instagrammable moments onto the web, share it to your close friends, and that might be a very, very different sort of a generative moment that it is helping you. Yep. So with content, it's so easy to create, and you can actually sort of like just get AI to do most of it. What is actually left for the humans to do? I think this is the part where AI can't actually do the taste yet, and the human creativity is more important now to deliver that better communication or more tasteful communication that will actually sort of shape the way that someone experience a brand. So the customer experience will change, but depending on the human creativity and taste that comes along with it. Yep. So I'm an AI experience architect, and a lot of people ask me, oh wow, who's going to win this AI race? And this is most probably a funny part. I'm not sure how many AI do you use. I mean, I use a ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, and Perplexity, and a lot more, even DeepSeek. The interesting part is that a lot of these large language models are now moving into an application space. So being, instead of a multi-purpose sort of assistant to you, they want to take over your browser space. So I would believe that whoever owns the most data points and the experience point will be the one who's going to win the race. And as of now, ChatGPT has already started connecting beyond their profile into Canva. So you can instruct Canva to do something out of ChatGPT. So it's a very interesting world. If you look at it 20 years ago in technology, people want to safeguard and have a walled garden. But 20 years later, collaboration might be the better way. So ChatGPT, you can chat and say, I want to know more about this course. It links to Coursera. I want to book this. It links to booking.com. Now with this network of the race for share of attention, how does that change the way that you look into customer experience? Which means that a marketer or a brand will have to look into not only ad platforms, but also to look into whoever owns most of these chat platforms to be able to influence someone to actually consider their brand. And this entire customer experience journey sort of becomes slightly more complicated. And a marketer's job used to be 2 press ads and 2 TV ads, and they're done for the campaign, down to 50 digital ads, and now they have to consider every single ChatGPT platform equivalent. Yep. So how will you redesign the whole customer experience? I would say that in the age of Gen AI, customer experience will need to have community for trust. They also need to have creative that is more creative than usual, and the human would definitely be the differentiator. And distribution is really the name of the game. So if you do not have distribution, you won't be able to win. But then again, in a chaotic world of so many Gen AI platforms, there is also a space that we believe that the market is big enough, and there should be enough space for you to fight for a space in the market. So like what I shared just now, should a brand be consistent in their customer experience? Or can a brand be generative and personalized to be able to deliver slightly different or very tailored experience for individual customer? And that is supposed to be the holy grail of customer relationship management, to be able to have a one-to-one relationship with every single customer. But that sort of go in the opposite direction of what a brand should be to deliver the customer experience. But this is very interesting, and there might emerge brands that highly cater to you, and probably ChatGPT is already there as a single product that actually deliver those experience. So if you were to ask me customer experience in the age of generative AI, I would ask what doesn't change, and that's mostly human nature. If you tap into that, you'll know what customer experience won't age and won't change. And for the generative AI, it's ready to keep up to understand the ways to personalize experience. And that's it for the sharing for today. That's customer experience in the age of Gen AI. Back to you, Pei.
Oh, wow, that was a very, very interesting lecture. Now, YC is a very dynamic speaker, and he teaches 2 courses at the WKWSCI school. Now, his experience and background is in computer science, and he used to also work in the advertising industry. And that is why his students find his lessons very inspiring and valuable. So if you are interested to learn more about visual data storytelling or digital transformation, students can experience that in our program by signing up in his courses. Now, we have completed 3 presentations, and I think they have built on one another really well. The reason why we came up with this e-series is to give you a taste of what it is like to be taking our classes. So I hope that you find this learning experience very dynamic and inspiring. Now, for the next segment, I'll be sharing a lot more about the MMC program. So our current students who are in the Zoom session, as well as our alumni, you're welcome to stay and help answer questions in the Zoom chat. If you have any other questions in the Zoom chat, we will also be able to answer them. And thank you, Gina, for your comments and for all the various lecture and the claps that we are getting as responses. Very, very encouraging. So what I'm going to do now is to talk about the program. And the objective of today is to showcase all the different learning. Now, I would like to share a video of our most recent reputation, media, and crisis management module that I taught, where students underwent an 8-hour simulation, just to showcase to potential students, to share with you what it is like to be taking our lessons, where we try to bridge knowledge as well as experiential learning.
Reporter for the reports. I am currently camped outside Raffles University Hospital, this outlet.
Okay, all right. So I hope that was quite an exciting but intense experience that you've just watched, and I hope that was helpful for you to see, what it's like to be in our 8-hour simulation for this class. Now, one of the reasons why our courses are very popular with students is also because we run a lot of these intensive classes across 2 weekends, and it's especially beneficial for students who are currently working and would like to take the courses part-time. We also offer our courses in the evenings as well to accommodate for those who are working. Now, The reason why I flashed this slide is not because we want to humble flex, but a lot of factors goes into why students would choose to pursue a graduate degree. You probably have to, give up your full-time job and travel overseas, live in Singapore for, a year or two. And so there's a lot of things that you probably want to consider. Now, if you ask AI, what are some of the factors that, potential applicants would consider? Ranking is one of them. And I'm very, very proud to be working in the WKWSCI school, where we are number 1 in Asia on the QS ranking, and number 4 in the world for consecutive years. So if you're looking at accreditation and specialization, I think we are truly one of the best in Asia and globally. Now, of course, I talked about how we have flexible class schedules, and you've just heard from our speakers, and you would be able to see for yourself how we have leading academics like Professor Ang, as well as industry experts like Saul and YC, who are leading many of our very popular modules. I also wanted to share a little bit about our specialization, because if you ask AI, one of the reasons that students would look at is also the curriculum, the skills development that they would be developing, right? In this program tracks, this is where you will see yourselves being able to specialize, across these different areas. So we have strategic communication, and in strategic communication, this is where we dive deeply into, how you manage reputation, crisis, and if you see yourself as a trusted communicator, influencing relationships and organizational success, this is where you probably would take more of your modules. Now, one of the things I wanted to preface is that you can take electives from any of the program tracks. You don't have to select your program track or stick to one program track. We designed it with the program tracks in mind, so that students know, if they want to specialize in any of these tracks, they can take more modules in these areas. And we also have media policy and public engagement. And in media policy and public engagement, we hope that students can develop strategic leadership, organizational change, and digital marketing skills that employers would highly value. I would ask you to go to the website to look at the program tracks, as well as all the various courses under each track. We do quite a good job on the website explaining and introducing the various courses. So if you're interested, please go to the website for more information. Now, this is something that is quite exciting and new this year. We are introducing the MMC Excellence Scholarship. On the website, you will be able to see, some of the requirements, as well as on the screen here. Now, this is new because we are opening the scholarship to every single applicant this year. We have a few scholarships available, either partial or full scholarship. Now, you don't have to apply to this scholarship before or while you're applying for the program. You will only need to apply for this when you have received an offer. So this is a tuition only scholarship, but I think it's very, very helpful for those of you who would like to look at, some financial aid. And during your studies here, we try to incentivize, our top performers. So we have a number of awards that we have in the program, and these are the awards that we have allocated financial incentives. So if you are the top student, you will receive a small prize at the end of each semester. And if you are one of our top students, you will also be eligible to apply for the Pearson Education Gold Medal, as well as the MediaCorp Gold Medal. Now, the application deadline starts on November the 1st. And so, you probably want to know what are some of the things that you need to prepare. My advice is that we have a selection committee that starts looking at all the various applications. So my advice for you is to apply early, so you're part of the earlier batch. I don't think you need to use any third-party agencies for your application, because when we read your statements, we are looking for students who are passionate about the field and who genuinely is interested in our program. So I would say you can use AI to help you structure or for ideas or to edit for grammar, but do write your essays with heart, and instead of letting somebody else write your essays on your behalf. So do apply early, and you can look forward to us notifying you early next year as well if you are part of the earlier applicants. Now, here's a guide to your reference letter. So when you are actually submitting your applications, you probably will be asking, your professors or your superiors for a recommendation letter. Try to link your experience, and describe, what they know of you. Try not to use a lot of flowery big words to describe who you are, but instead you maybe share like concrete examples of how you solve challenges, what you are like, how does your job experience, or or how is your job relevant to the degree that you plan to study. And even if it's not relevant, share about your passions, about why you want to pivot to a new career, and whether you show any good traits to pivot to a new career as well. So this is the end, and it's really a very simple deck that we put together because we wanted to share with you what's actually on our website. Now, if you are keen to apply for the program, feel free to scan the QR code, or you can even contact our coursework team and set up one-on-one appointments. So we are excited to help you take this next step in your media and communication journey with the MMC program at NTU. And with this, I would like to check the Zoom chat and see if you guys have any questions, and I'll let the panel, as well as students who are actually attending this session, help answer. So we have a number of questions already. Wow, that's quite a few questions that we have, and I will ask the questions, and any of the Professor Ang and YC can also help to reply. May I know if NIE graduates are considered alumni? Yes, NIE graduates are considered alumni, and there is actually and if you're a Singaporean, there is actually a financial incentive or subsidy, so you can find out more about that from the website. May I know what would be the intake size? Generally, our intake size range from 80 to 100. We try to keep our classes relatively small as well. Unlike some of the MBA programs where they have 80 to 90 students in one class, we try to keep it to 35 students in order to sort of optimize the learning experience and the teacher-student ratio. The scholarship mentions leadership development. How will you assess this component if this course is under coursework? Well, the leadership development, it's really your leadership in your undergraduate studies, whether you have taken on any leadership roles or your leadership capabilities of potential in your current workplace. It's not relevant to the coursework. Will there be any interviews as part of the admissions process? Professor Ang, do you want to take this question? No? Will there be any interviews? Actually, the answer is generally there are no interviews during the admissions process. However, there are some students where we may not have complete information of the profile, and we want to find out a little bit more about you or why you want to pivot. Or maybe you had a career gap of, say, 1 or 2 years, and we wanted to find out a little bit more. So if we have questions, we will schedule an interview. What is the minimum or recommended number of courses to take per semester as a part-time candidate? Well, we have 4 core modules that you have to take, and Professor Ang teaches one of them. And we also require you to complete 6 electives. For a part-time student, you will have to complete your core modules first. We have set up a a Group A and Group B format whereby you would have to complete your core modules, and we recommend that you take 2 core modules in each semester and 1 elective. If you can take up to 3, that's fantastic. If not, you can take 2 core modules in your first semester and 2 core modules in your second semester, and in the rest of your semesters you can take the electives. Now, because we have intensive format for some of our courses, a lot of the part-time students were able to take 2 core modules plus 1 intensive module. Okay, so that's all the questions that we have on the chat. What I would maybe ask you to do, if you are still on the chat with us, if you have any questions for YC or Professor Ang with regards to the presentation that they have just made or just delivered, feel free to type in any of the questions, and I would also, pass the mic to them to answer them. Okay, maybe I will let someone else answer this question. What is the challenge of being a part-time student in this course? Professor Ang used to be the director of the Masters of Media program before I took over his big shoes. So maybe I'll ask Professor Ang to share his perspective.
Okay, so I've seen part-time students, and actually in the initial years, some of them didn't graduate actually, because there was some requirement of a thesis, and it was a struggle for them. They were busy at the level, they're moving up, and they're traveling a lot, so it's a challenge. So I would say that if you're a part-timer, the issue is finding time to do the work. You're coming to NTU or pull out NTU after a hard day's work. So you really need to, I would say, to exercise, take supplements, bird's nest, etc., so that you are fortified to face the traffic first, and then come to NTU and then study, right? So I think that the first one is the issue of time, and I've seen people kind of like under a bit of pressure, and then you've got other family commitments. So there's quite a bit of time discipline and sharing that you need to take care of, and that's why we've actually put in this intensive module so that the work is intense for a period, and then your other work, life can go on. So I would say that in intensive modules, you should be able to finish your part-time course, the entire course load, quite comfortably within 2 years. It means two 6-month period kind of thing, quite comfortably. I mean, there is work involved, of course. You need to set time, but it's not a crazy kind of work. At least we don't think it's crazy. Right, Pei, would you agree? It's hard work, but not crazy work. Right?
Well, I think we have rigor, and we have a reputation to maintain. So students do have to work very hard, but yeah, not crazy. I think they still have a lot of fun doing it. And Professor Ang actually has foresight. He actually helped to answer 2 questions. The other question was, can the course be completed within 2 years? And you already answered that. Yeah. Okay, I like this question. How are the assessments usually like for the modules? And how many intensive modules are there? Okay, maybe we asked each of us to share a little bit about the courses that we teach and what the assessments are like. How about that? Okay, all right, YC, we start with you. YC currently teaches a digital transformation class. It's an intensive module across 2 weekends. So YC?
Yep. So for MC 6368 digital marketing transformation, the assessment is like this. So you have 45 points onto individual assignment. But before that, we actually have a quiz that's 15%, and we also have a group work that's about 35%. And of course, there's a bonus of 5% participation point. It's intensive. It's actually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So what we have redesigned, actually I already ran 8 cohort of this. We have actually streamlined such a way that it scaffolds up. So after the first 2 weeks, you actually learn components of it that you will finally present on day 6. And with that, you iterate that into your individual assignment. So like what Prof. Ang say, it's hard work, but it's not crazy work. But our aim here is to make you learn and to be able to scaffold and bring back something practical that you can bring back to work to use. Yeah. So I hope I answered that question.
Very well, yeah.
So just kind of go back a bit on what they said about Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday half a day, and the idea of half a day is that hopefully you can take time off, so you don't have to apply for leave. So this kind of a part-timer, something to note as well. Okay, so my module, I designed it so that you work hard. And the idea is that not one thing kills you, but everything kills you. Right? So every small little thing, we add it together, then, you know, if you don't work hard, then of course it falls apart, and so everything will kill you. So there's 20, so nothing's really big, right? The quiz is 15%, two term papers, and a short, like 1,500 words. So no introduction, no conclusion, just only the meat. It's like hamburger with only the meat. Okay, no pickles, no.
A5 Wagyu.
Maybe, exactly right. Exactly right. Wagyu, right? Yeah. So you have 20% of term paper. So times 2 is 40%. The quiz is 15%, times 2 is 30%, so it's 70%. That gives you 20% for group presentation and 10% for participation. So no one thing kills you, but together, you know, that's how you make it. Yeah.
Now, Professor Ang also teaches a overseas immersion course that this year takes students to the University of Sydney, which is who is our partner. Do you want to tell them a little bit more about the assessments for your overseas
So yeah, the
course?
overseas module will begin with a welcome quiz. So they come in,
Very welcoming.
a quiz right away, like, hey, what have you been reading? You think you just came on holiday? Sorry, like, they begin the quiz. And then there's class participation because the seminar, we have speakers who are experts in the area. Something I should give a little blurb on this one. So Australia is banning social media for those under 16 from December 10th. It's a few days after we leave. Experts will be coming to tell us what will they expect. Last year they introduced a law, this year implementing it, so we're kind of catching up. Hey, what happened to this year now? What are they going to do? So it's kind of interesting there. So there's a quiz, group presentation, participation, and then bigger for term paper. Yeah.
Okay, so for my courses, I teach a few courses here. I teach strategic public relations, and for that particular course, the hero assignment would be a case study that we enter for the Arthur Page competition. So the course is very much structured around a value-based corporate communication framework. And so this case study is a very good test of how you apply the Page principles with sort of industry case analysis. So that one is the big one. And students also do a number of LinkedIn reflections of the guest speakers. And if there are any guest lectures with their takeaways, etc. I also teach a branded content marketing class, and I try to partner with the industry for this class. And last semester we partnered with Klook, and this semester we partnered with Grab. So we give the class a real-world challenge, and students have to come up with a strategy, do their research, as well as produce content. We also took students to a podcast workshop where they sat in the same chair as President Tharman when he was interviewed for that particular podcast, as well as all the other president electees. So for that class, you have to turn in a content marketing plan that is very comprehensive, and as part of the individual component, you actually have to produce some of that content. And we had guest lectures from TikTok, and we teach them how to use, AI tools or CapCut. And students these days, they are actually very well versed in these tools. So we don't really have to teach them how to make a TikTok. We try to teach them about strategy, about having, instead of posting ad hoc content, we try to teach them how to have a strategic or overarching strategy for their organization. And for the crisis module, you can see from the video that I shared with you, a lot of the doing happens in the 8 hours. It's very, very exciting. But for that particular module, students have to do a reflection that they would then post as an article, as a Medium article on LinkedIn. So if you're very interested in this, you can Google the course code MC 6361, and you can see a lot of the modules a lot of the reflections that our students have posted. Okay, all right. We have a few more questions, and we have left with 5 minutes to our last segment. It seems that there are overseas emergent opportunities, and it is so interesting. Could you share more about these opportunities? So, Professor Ang again has a lot of foresight. He's already shared a little bit about his Sydney Overseas Emergent module, where they focus a lot on the local media landscape and the media policies that is affecting not just locally but globally. And for my module that I take students overseas, it is a creativity module that is issues in interactive advertising, and we choose to go either to South by Southwest, where we also partner with the University of Texas at Austin for some workshops, or we go to the Cannes International Festival of Creativity. So my courses has a lot of doing, and in this course, students actually take part in international advertising competitions, and I'm very glad to say that some of our students have actually won a wood pencil at the D&AD competition. So we run 2 of these modules, and we give a partial subsidy if you take the module. We give it as a one-time partial subsidy for your course. One of the questions is, how many intensive modules can we take in a semester? Well, you can take as many as you can tahan, as you want. But a lot of students actually post on Xiaohongshu or on social media that 3 intensive modules will kill you, even though it only takes up 6 weekends. It truly will. So even for full-time students, we recommend that you take only 1 or 2 and then have 1 13-week module as well as your 2 core modules. Because if you want to graduate within 1 year, you have to take 5 modules. However, you can spread it out. Even as a full-time student, you have up to 2 years, and for part-time students, you have up to 4 years to complete your program. I am not adept in technology like Gen Alpha. Will I have a lot to catch up? Well, YC?
Do you have a lot of catch up? No, you learn that in our courses. So in Gen AI is part of the technology that you'll learn. In fact, in the MC 6368, we devote about 4 hours of it to bring you through about 10 to 15 tools. But eventually, it's application. It's to showcase that to you. And generative AI tools, the user experience are actually very good. So yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, I encourage my students to take Coursera classes or courses online, and I always try to flex the certifications that I have taken. Not really because I wanted to flex, but to show them that even for myself, at my age, I'm a senior citizen. If I can keep learning and I can try to keep up with certifications and learn from YouTube how to do certain things, so can you, right? So, and I think that's the reason why you want to take up a graduate studies with us. So thanks to Herming, one of our current MMC students who have also taken a few of my classes. She says, I took 3 intensives this semester, full time, and she's dead, but gained a lot. Okay, so thank you for sharing your perspective. But Herming, did you have fun? Okay, I think that's all the questions that we have time for. Please take the brave step to apply, and we do look at applications very holistically. Even for those of you who have not been studying for 8 or 10 years, I would encourage you to apply and see where this leads to. And maybe I would ask Professor Ang and YC to close out with some advice for applicants or potential students.
No, I would say that if you are 8 or 10 years out, in fact, many of these students do actually do very well in the program. I remember somebody who got a top prize, a gold medal. Person was 8 or 10 years out indeed, and went on. I mean, still working the place, but definitely helped, and from input, helped the organization do some things that she wouldn't otherwise have been able to do without the training from our program.
Yeah. So in my class, I think I have everything from 3 years to 20 years. After they last studied. But the interesting part is that it's a safe environment for you to interact with different generation, in the same class. And I think you learn a lot more when you come to those classes.
Okay, all right. So with that, I really want to thank our current students, alumni, as well as potential applicants for staying with us throughout these three sessions, throughout this session and the three presentations. And have a very, very good evening, everyone. Thank you.